We talked about the data types. So there are two different data types, primitive and non-primitive. Okay, primitive is about your Boolean character and then integer double. So I mean these and all to store all the values of numbers, pure numbers, and float double is for decimal values. Okay, for salary or any dot values, right? And the non-primitive data types, too many things are there like class, object, interface. And then we discussed about interface also, but we did not deep dive into it. Okay. So abstract class and interface are kind of a similar, where abstract class we can extend with the keyword only one abstract class. Whereas in the case of interface, we'll do multiple. We did not see interface. Okay. That is a separate session. And then we'll talk about arrays and all. So class and object, we saw overview, not deep dive. Okay, there will be a inner class session will be there. In that, we'll deep dive into classes, interfaces, arrays, etc. Okay, so data types are two. Okay, so here you can see this data type primitive, non-primitive. Primitive is about Boolean numeric. Boolean will have true or false. Number will have character integral. Right? Character will have single character, and the string set of characters is getting into non-primitive, and array, etc. It will have byte, short, int, long, floating point will have float double. So here is the size, and this size also we went through it. It's about like the range. I was telling, like, for example, if you are giving a short, if you are storing more than 32768, right, it is going to store the junk value. That is what we are referring to this particular data type. Okay, so if you have a bank account, okay, if you have 10 lakhs or something, you should not use this short, because this maximum value is going to have 32768 only. Okay, or simple example I'm telling you, if you have 1 lakh or 10 lakh, okay, if the bank is using the data type as short, it is not going to have more than this value 32768. When it goes to 769, it is going to store junk value. If it is 32766, it can store that value. Okay, so it is like kind of an increment 0 to 32768. So similar to that, all the data types has their own value. Right? For example, Naveen can store this kind of account balance information. Yes, Naveen. So after getting a job, he will get a salary like that, and then he will have an account and he will have the value like this. Okay, so that's the way we have to decide which data type we have to use for what. Okay, and then floating type, it is about decimal. So we can use small f or capital F after our data. Okay, or otherwise not required also, doesn't matter. And then Boolean type, it is true or false. Okay, in Java, the convention is like, maybe if there is a variable underscore name, so that duplicate will not be there. So in anywhere, if you go, whether it is a class name or variable name, it should be unique. Okay, you should not reuse it. You should not give a junk name, right? You have to give a understandable name that you can understand as a developer. After 1 week or 1 month or 6 months, if you are getting into it, you have to know what is that. For example, Boolean, we have to say flag, right? Maybe what is that flag depends on your concept. Account flag, status underscore flag, or status flag, something like that you have to put. Okay, so today we are going to see about variables. Okay, what is a variable means? A variable is a container which holds the value while Java program is getting executed. For example, I said like employee ID or employee name. Okay, so employee name, for one person, it is going to be Lokesh or Dinesh. Okay, next time, I mean, other time it is going to be Sophia. When Sophia details are going to be fetched, that variable name is going to vary. Okay, from Dinesh, it is going to Sophia. Sophia, it is going to take Dinesh, something like that. Okay, variable is the name of a memory location, right? In a Java, there will be a location, right, where in that particular location the memory is created. In that location, the value is getting stored. So it means that particular memory, for example, we are talking about hard disk, right, in your computer. So in that computer, you are having C drive, D drive, and all, right? So in D drive, you are downloading a movie and it occupies around 2 GB of data. Okay. So out of 100 GB, 98 GB only remaining, 2 GB is occupied already, right? So that is what we are referring here as a memory location for variable. Okay, so there is no, I mean, similar to your hard disk, we are not having any definition or declaration in Java telling like this is the memory location or something. But behind the scene, when a particular variable is declared and the value is getting assigned, the Java is going to have a heap memory concept where it is going to store all the values. Okay, and there are three different variables associated in Java variable. Okay, so one is local variable. So one is local variable, right? Other one is instance variable. Other one is static variable, right? So we'll see one by one. Okay, so it is a reserved, the name of a reserved area allocated in memory. Okay, so it is a combination of variable, vary plus able, which means its value can be changed during the time. Okay, so there are three different instance variable. We'll see one by one. Okay, so local variable. So we saw this yesterday itself in a concept when we are going through some of the objects and all. We are trying to create an instance and then trying to access that particular data member. Right? You remember there was a class and with that object name, I was trying to fetch the data. And then I was trying to create an error by calling the object name through the function. I could not able to call the function because it was a local variable. The variable, we will see in example. Okay, the variable declared inside the body of the method. Within a body only we are declaring it and calling it means it is the visibility is within that particular method only. Okay, that is called local variable. Let me repeat. In a method, okay, for example, you call interest calculation and then within that interest calculation, int rate. Okay, int integer interest rate, right? If I call it, that variable is available within an interest calculation method only. Outside of that particular class, if I use what do you call employee salary information or something, I will not be able to access that particular interest rate. Okay, so that is called local variable. Okay, you can't access it outside of that particular class. The local variable cannot be defined with static keyword. So static keyword has a huge important we will see. Okay, so local variable should not be declared as static variable because it has to be a global variable. Okay, so what is a global variable also we'll see. What is an instance variable? A variable declared inside the class but outside the body. Okay, inside the class but outside the body is called an instance variable. So there are huge difference within a method, within a class, but not within this method. That is called instance variable. Okay, and the instance variable because its value is instance specific and is not shared among instances. Multiple instances will not be shared. It will be shared for one instance. Okay, and then static variable. So memory is related with it. If you are talking about a local variable or instance variable, multiple memory locations can be happening. But in the case of static variable, we will have a single copy of memory and it will share among multiple instances. That is the major reason. Okay, so memory you can save it using static. Okay, whereas the case of instance variable, it will have multiple instances like child1, child2 and all. Static variable, you can use only the class name, not you cannot create a object and then access it. Okay, so directly using a class name, you can access static variable and it will be initialized only once. You cannot change the value at all in static. Okay, so don't get confused. We'll see with the example. Just recollect local variable within your method, instance variable within your class, Static variable for memory only, we are going through it. No object creation and accessing it. Okay. Memory allocation will be only one. Okay. Simple example here. Okay. Static variable, it has to come with keyword static. Okay. Int m equal to 100. Once it is initialized, you cannot change the value. Okay. You create any number of instances of the class, this value will not change at all. Okay. Here within a particular method, I am having integer n equal to 90, right? So outside of this method, I cannot get this value of n. Okay. I can access only this n within this particular method. Outside of this method, I don't have access to this particular variable because int is declared here. If you give int n outside, I can access anywhere. But int is declared here and n is declared here. So the value will be within this particular method. Okay. And this is within a particular class A and it is not within a method. This is a main method. Okay. That is what we call it as an instance variable. Okay. There are different things are there. This is a local method. This is our main method. So it is not a local method. Okay. That is the reason we are calling it as a instance variable. So static keyword, it is with the keyword static. Okay. And the memory is allocated only once. For example, I don't know whether I can get a paintbrush. Okay. So I have, like I'm telling, like, for example, I can say m, right, equal to 100. So it is defined in a particular location, right? I have different method. Okay. So if I want to access it, so it will point to only one memory. Okay. But whereas in the case of instance variable or non-instance variable, repeated memory will be created. Okay. Depends on your access, whether you have class 1 or whatever, you will have single memory allocated here for a static. Here multiple memory is allocated. Okay. So that is the difference. Here it is only one memory. It won't allocate different memory, depends on your instance. Only one class instance has been created and only one memory has been allocated. Even if you have class A or class B, it will refer to only one instance. Everything will be in heap and stack only. So depends on, see, heap memory in the sense, it's about like whatever we have recently we stored. That is what we call it as a heap memory. Okay. So doesn't matter. That is the internal working. So program counter is used for, like if you are a physics student or something, right? Then we have program counter for your method. Within that particular method, when you are having the variables, it will store into that. Okay. Heap memory is about like whatever the recently you have those values like data variable and everything that will get stored and it will be garbage collected. So what is that? What do you mean by garbage collected? When you wind up this class, when you close this particular class running it or something, or you are not going to define when it is going to be garbage collected. The JVM itself, when that particular object is unused, it will clean up. Okay, so memory allocation, deallocation, everything will be taken care by Java. You don't need to worry about it. And nobody is going to ask you about any interview questions on this particular memory. So don't worry about it. Let us concentrate on more on the concepts, not into this memory. So this memory and all, it is required only for this system level programming. Maybe if you are a C++. Okay, maybe I will go through it one second. How it is a heap memory, program counter, stack pointer, and everything, but which is not required and it is not relevant for your interview. Okay, so what is a literal? So the next concept is for variable. We are clear, right? No doubts. 3 variables: static variable, local variable, instance variable. Okay, static variable, we are using it for memory purpose. It is not going to change the value. any kind of class can access it, and local variable within your particular method only. When it goes out of your method, you will not be able to access it. This system is going to throw error. And if it is a non-static variable, you can access outside of the method or anywhere. Okay, and it will keep on changing the memory location. Okay, when you create new object, it is going to create new memory and it is going to allocate it. Okay, so more memory will be allocated for local and instance variable. Static variable, it is only one shared memory. Okay, I don't know whether it is there. Yeah, shared memory is there. Share it among all the instances. Okay, so let us get into literals. Okay, so in Java, literals are constant values. So constant in the sense, we are talking about you are defining the value. I'm not talking about the pi value or something. Okay, so don't get confused with that constant value. So constant value normally will say, like, I'm not going to change, I cannot change the value at all. If you define, for example, pi is equal to 3.14, right? That value will never change. Okay, that is what normally we call it as a constant value. So here we have a separate keyword itself in Java that is called the final. Okay, so if you define a particular keyword final int cost 340, that value will not be changed at all at any time. If you are trying to change it, it will throw an error. That is what constant. But here the literal constant is different. It's about, like, for example, name. I am telling like Anupama Reddy, right? So that value will not be able to change at all. That is what constant. Okay, so that is what we are here. Literal this sense, I'm talking about the assigning value. Just a concept, forget about it. Okay, don't take into your mind, but think about, like, literals in Java have 4 different literals. Okay, integer, character, Boolean, string. So set of characters is called string. Okay, Boolean, what we will have, true or false. Integer, what we will have, numbers, pure numbers. Okay, so that is what you have to understand. Okay, constant terminology, forget about it here. Okay, just we are assigning some value which can be changing or which will be constant. That's it. So here you know the examples, right? Integer will be having some pure numbers, octal integer, hexadecimal integer. These and all will never use it. If you are a microchip developer or something, then you will come to know about octa and hexa and all, which is not required. Binary will never use. So mostly we'll use integer, decimal. Okay. So round number, it's about integer, decimal, it's about fractional part. Okay, only thing is you have to know the limit, which data type you are going to use it for what purpose. As I said, like, if you are going to use it short, then the value will be truncated. You will have 32768, that is the maximum value. So that you have to understand it. Okay, so this is one more thing. This is useful for /literal. Okay, so for example, when you are writing a program or something, I want to, this will be useful, this last two, right? Single quote, double quote. Okay, so when you're having a complex expression, like you are trying to filter the name, for example, you are writing a paragraph or something. In that paragraph, the single quote, double quote will be there. So you have to skip it. Java will have, like, it will not able to read special characters, right? So you type something, right? Let me tell you example why when in that particular scenario we will be using it, right? For example, you take this one itself, right? So when the Java is trying to read it, till this it will go normally. Okay, it will be able to read it. When it comes to this single quote, it is going to break that Java program reading and it will come out of the loop, because Java is not able to understand this single quote, right? So in that, especially in that particular time, we have to give this single quote. Okay, so that you will be able to read it and skip that. Okay, so if I give that particular single quotation mark, skip it and then read the rest of the data. So it will be able to read the square bracket, I mean not square bracket, bracket, open, closing bracket and everything. So that way, at the time of a scenario, by reading a set of characters or something, this will be useful. Okay, just try to understand right now, because maybe when we are getting into programming, these two will be useful. Okay, these are all like for alignment. Like I am typing for here, Java supports some special backslash character and all, right? For example, it is here. If I want to come out of this colon and then come down to the next line, I will use slash n. Okay, if I have to, I mean, move out of one tab equal to 8 space. After 8 space, I have to type something, then I have to use slash t. Okay, then one space before it, then I will use tab B, and then this is like again two spaces, so something like that, and then we want to type a beep, right? And then carriage return, it's about coming to the next line. So this is for escape sequence characters. So these and all will be useful, so try to understand it. Okay, when you are trying to write a key, is some dot out dot println, right? Try all these things and then see like what is used for what. Okay, so this one, especially while you are reading a set of characters, this will be useful. Try to, I mean, use a single quote and double quote and then try to read it. Then you will come to know what are the issues, how you can resolve it. Okay, but actually this will be a real-time scenario. It will come on your IT industry. Okay, these and all just for your purpose. Okay, you will never use in any of your IT programming, but this will be useful. Single and double quote. Okay, could be file reading or something, or any other scenario. Okay, so similar to that, you have string literal. It doesn't matter. String has only A to Z. You can add 1 to 3 also, but it has to be meaningful name. Okay, and the floating point literal is there. How you can define the value. Exponential also we can do, but in IT industry, I have never seen using this exponential and all. Okay, just for a learning purpose. Okay, Boolean will use like anything. Okay, true or false anywhere for your condition. Like I was telling, like um, maybe your gender or age factor or anything, like whether the status flag or something, whether you completed a Java session or not, right? Something like that. Okay, so Boolean will be used like anything in a programming purpose. And then null literal, that is also useful. Like if I define, like when a particular string name is there, okay, dynamically I'm going to change the name. Right now depends on my what do you call seniority. I will say like Sophia is a minor, okay, and then Lokesh is a major, and then Dinesh is a senior. That way I'm defining. But before that, I'm telling like define that particular value as null. Maybe when I'm coming into seniority, I am looking into that particular value, but I could not able to define that value. Then the null value will be there. This we are defining as a default value. Okay, if there is no name, I am assigning as null. Null means nothing. Okay, so if we are validating it, we will be using null. So you can see like null pointer exception. It means you have not defined any value. That is called null pointer. Okay. Why use literal? To avoid defining constant somewhere, okay, and making up a label for it. So for that purpose only we are using literal. So how we are going to use it? Using a keyword or I mean prefixed with equal to symbol, and then define your particular value. Okay, so hope, I mean, important thing is the what do you call, the single quote, double quote, right? And then this null. Okay, we'll see this with example also. Don't worry. Okay, so he see here string something I have defined with the null. The value is also coming as null. So you can check what is that value and compare it. Okay. So we have written a program also. I think we saw that yesterday, I believe. Second, wait, let me check. I have that program, literal example. No, I don't have it. So see here, the backslash literal, right? It is coming with slash t. Okay. You say R what is going to happen? You'll not be able to change it because what is this C2? PH2. It's a character, but we have given 1 to 3. Okay. So instead of that, I can say something like student name where it is null. Then character 1, it is coming. Okay. I think the issue is with so there are two different methods. One is println, other one is print. Okay. So why we are using println? Because it has to come to the next line after printing it. Okay. If you do print, automatically it will print in that. It will not go to the next line at all. I have a doubt here why it is not going to the next line. Let me check. I don't know. Maybe it is taking the program from somewhere else. Okay. This is taking it from somewhere else. Okay. That is the issue. Getting it? So if I run through it from here, it takes somewhere else, the already executed program. Okay. So somewhere it is there in buffer. That way it is taking it. Okay. That is the reason. I should not use it that way. So normally, right, when we have a program and all, we'll take it from here. Right? That is not a correct way. So better you try to use it off like run as and then Java application. Then you will have a different thing. Okay, so you can see that carriage written and tab, what makes a difference? It comes to the next line where it goes here, and then you will come to the tab. So there is a hell lot of differences. Okay. So that way you can experiment the program. Okay, and then try to write a program to read it. Maybe once I cover the files concept, you have to try that the single quotation and the double quotation, how you can skip it. Okay, so make sure like you are comfortable, because when you get into the software industry, might be if you have an option to read a file or something, then you will come to that situation. How you can escape a single quote or a double quote. Okay, so the next one is format. This is also important. Okay, so when you are getting into an IT industry, if they want a specific format, right? Especially when it gets to date format or string format, this is widely used. Okay, so formatting depends on your requirement. So when they give a requirement, they will say like the date format has to be like this, right? Um, the string format has to be like this. So in that case, we have to use this format, like maybe US area, they will say like first month, then date, then year. Only in India, we'll say like date, month, year. Okay. But when you come to a IT industry, we will never use date, month format. Okay. It will be month, date format. Okay. Don't forget about it. Be careful and listen. First month and then date and then year. Okay, and year will not be 4 digits, it will be 2 digits. Sometimes it will be 2 digits. Okay, so for example, right now it is September, sorry, August, it is 08. Okay, 08, today's date, then year. That is the way the format will be there. Okay, so you use for send out a whatever the format you are going to have, whether it is DD, YY or whatever, and then your arguments, and then do a formatter. Okay, so formatter dot format of whatever the argument you are going to pass. Okay, that way you can use it. Local is about your language, whether it is an English or Spanish or whatever. That we'll see how we can do internationalization. So internationalization is about you can have a variable label telling like write your name or something, employee name, right? That is in English language. In IT industry, maybe sometimes we'll code for Spanish also. Okay, so don't worry about it. I don't know Spanish and all. So what normally we do, like we go to Google and then copy paste it and then convert English to Spanish. Okay, so then it will give some changed character. Copy paste in your application.properties with the variable name. So it will be in Spanish file, not in English file. So English file in the sense it will be .en. If it is Spanish, it will be in ES or something, right? So in that case, we will have different label. Instead of employee name, it will be in Spanish. Okay. So how will you change that application properties? That also we can see. Okay. So try to understand that is about the local. Okay. Format is about how we are going to format your particular value. We will see with an example. Okay. But this is the syntax. So how we can pass it. I'll show you with example, then it will be easy. There will not be any introduction or something. But here maybe try to understand like there is a format function and then you have to pass your parameter to format your string. Okay, so not sure like whether I have a, so see here, maybe I don't know whether I have a example here. No, I did not have it. So here, so name I have given and percentage yes. So we are assigning this particular space for this name. Name is full stack development. And here I am telling format F. F is about floating point. So whatever I have given, you formatted. Okay. And here I am giving only 12 space. Okay. 12 floating point after my decimal. So in that case, whatever leading space is there, everything, right? Not leading, a trailing space. Okay. Whatever it is there, it will add 0. So out of this, if I am giving only 2F, then what will happen? This 334, right? 32.334. It will be rounded off and I'll be getting 3.32.34. Okay, not 33. Okay, if I give 2F, if because it is 12F, it is adding all zeros because the characters are here is only 5. So 7 characters will be added with the zeros. Okay, so here a slash f, it is adding 5. Okay, so 2, 4, 5, actually six characters it has added. Okay, and then here it is string format. So that is the way it is coming. Okay, just try to understand that's it. It is not integration or something, but maybe while you are going through the development, you will be able to feel comfortable. So I'm just passing the format and then passing my value. Okay, what kind of format I have to do it, and then the parameter, and then define it, and then print it. So we talked about the primitive data types. Non-primitive, we'll see deep dive. Okay, so what are the non-primitives? It's about your class, interfaces, arrays, etc. So arrays will cover in a collection framework, which is in core Java. That is the main important concept when you are going for an application programming with the Spring Boot and all. Okay, so these and all, I mean, just a part of it. To try to understand, to get into the full stack development, core Java, you are trying to listen and understand. But collection is the main program. Collection is the main package. We'll use it in all the application programming. So what is that collection is about? Like array list, vector, right? All those things, hash table, hash map, all those things we'll use it in our IT industry. Okay. And these and all like your data types and all we'll use here and there. Okay. So don't need to, you have to understand the basics, like what is an integer, what is a double, what is a float. When we go for float, when we go for integer, that is the way you have to understand. Okay. So non-primitive, it's about multiple values. So to store multiple values, we'll go for non-primitive. What is an array? For example, employee list. Okay. So in the array list, employee list, I am going to store all the employee names. It's not only one value. String will have only one value. Okay. It could be Sophia or Lokesh. Okay. If I want to have all the people name, then I have to go for array or array list. Okay, that is what this non-primitive data type came into picture, as well as to handle multi-threading, memory allocation, deallocation. For those purpose only, we are going for non-primitive, and as well as for storing in a heap memory. Okay, heap memory in the sense what? As I said, temporary value, and using that reference object, like for example, as I said, like object for a particular class we create and then access this particular variable, we can use it. Okay, so I mean, C has a information called a pointer where we can refer to your memory allocation, everything, but that is not required in the case of Java. Okay, so key points, the default value of any reference variable is null. Okay, so we saw what is a null for our value if even for the collection non-primitive type array, right? When you are defining an array in the initial stage, it will not have any value, it will be null. When we keep on adding the value, for example, employee list, you get the value in the starting itself, it will be null. If you keep on assigning, the value will be incremented with index 0. Okay, so first, for example, I'm adding employee list equal to employee of Sophia, Dinesh, Lokesh, right? So before adding this three value, the value will be 0. Okay, when we add this three value, I will get the value as 3 count. Okay, but whereas the index comes starts with a 0. So how many values are stored? 3. But what is the last index? 0, 1, 2. So 2 is the last index, not 3. Okay. So those and all will get when we are getting deep dive into it, we will come to know. But still, I'm giving a heads up. Okay, so what are the non-primitive data types? It's about the class, object, string, array, interface. So all these things we'll see. What is a class? We have seen. Like when you are creating a class, we'll define with the keyword class and then defining a name. First, Java program or whatever. That is a class, which is a user-defined data type, right? Employee is a class, right? And small employee, right? Capital employee is a class. I start the employee name with a small letter E, then it is called an object, where it is a blueprint of class. I can access the data member and member variable. What is an interface? It is similar to an abstract class, whatever we have seen, right? But we can implement multiple classes, right? That is by using interface. So we will talk about inheritance at that time. We'll come to know what is an interface. String, the set of characters that is called a string. Okay. Array, I was talking about your mark or something or student, right? So you will not have one mark, could be like mathematics, English, science, whatever it is, right? So all those values of a particular employee will be stored. That is called an array, which is preceded with square bracket. Okay. Don't worry about it. We will see. So what is a typecasting? Okay. So see here, this is called a widening. This is called a narrowing. Okay. So what do you mean by that? Here, anybody can tell me like what do you mean by this by looking into this picture and then we covered about data type and all. What is this? Anybody? What is this widening and narrowing? Whatever you know. So it's about, for example, by without knowing that knowledge or anything, as of now, I have stored Sophia's salary in short. Okay. But Sophia's salary will not be 32,768. Okay. It could be double or long or whatever. Okay. So if I want to change it to double, then I can use it. Okay. But employee ID, is it like a bigger one? No. Okay, it will be byte or short. Okay, so that is what we are trying to say. I am going to narrow casting or widening it. Okay, so that is called casting. Okay, so but think about it when you are having, I mean, small to bigger is fine, right? But bigger to small, what is the issue? Okay, for example, your salary is 10 lakhs. Okay, if you put that salary 10 lakhs into short, what will happen? You'll be having 10,000.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but if it is 10,000, you put it into double, what will happen? The value will remain as it is. But only thing is decimal place will get added. So widening is good. But what is the drawback if you don't know the data type? The memory will increase. That's it. Okay. So depends on the requirement. You have to decide what I have to do. Okay. So for example, when we are trying to have a primary key and all, int is fine. That is enough. So increment from 0 to 1,000 or 10,000. That's it. Not more than that. Right? For example, I have a table. In that table, I have an employee number or whatever. Okay. Int is enough for me. I don't need to get into double or short or byte. Right? So depends on the requirement. You have to decide. And narrowing, you will lose values. Widening, you won't lose. That is the important thing you have to understand. Okay. So typecasting is also an important concept. When you get into generics, one more concept is there. We will come to know how we can do a typecasting without error. That will be covered as part of generics in the collection framework, which is very, very important. Okay. And the interview question also. Normally, when I am interviewing, I'll ask like, what do you know about generics? Okay. It's about like how I can, I mean, without we are talking about array list and all, right? I want to store the list of values, right? For example, here we saw this integer marks, right? If I don't know the data type integer, okay, the list of marks, it will be stored in an integer. For example, can I store the values of Sophia marks only or Sophia name? Without knowing, I am adding 10, 20, 30, 40, and then adding Sophia also. What will happen? There will be an error. While you are having an integer value, how come you can add a string value? Right? That is an issue. So that way we use this generics and then typecasting and all. Okay. Don't get confused. I will tell you with the real-time example when we are getting into it.